the National Cathedral, God's house, is being built on the foundation of lies, some have suggested. I say on the foundation of complete opacity. And you have to wonder whether, I mean, look, I'm asking the question yesterday, what would Jesus do? If Jesus were alive today, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, he was alive today in the midst of famine, and famine by the times of the biblical time. When they say famine, it's reminiscent of the economic hardship we are facing. People are struggling to find food, to buy, etc. Will Jesus still spend the little he had to build a brick and mortar concrete house? Or will he spend that money to improve the lives directly of those who are suffering? Let's think back and apply this concept to the current situation. If Jesus was alive today and he was in charge of our finances, would he choose to take $350 million when millions of Ghanaians are facing floods? They can't afford basic necessities of life because the economy is in shambles and there's a crisis. Will Jesus take that money to cushion
dollars?
Yes, dollars.
$350 million.
Will Jesus take that money to cushion the poor in society most affected by the economic hardship and crisis? Or he will take that money to build a brick and mortar cathedral?
When Jesus Christ went to the house of the Lord, you know, those who were gambling, engaged in all wrongs, he whipped them, sacked them from the house of God. You know, in the era of the early Christians, Ananias and Sapphira, those who went to sell their, property and under-declared, you see how God struck them. How I wish we were in those times. How I wish we were in those times when God could just strike people down. So we were told that this is a cathedral that will be funded by the churches.
The churches were told to.
We're told saying, yes, that we're going to fund it. Government said we're going to just create the facilitate. Give them land.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be seed capital. Seed capital is turned into what? 200 million Ghana cedis?
And counting.
And counting.
You mean that we don't know the full extent
And the finance minister, in fact, we have just seen an approval of some $21 million. $21 million.
An addition.
You have seen $32 million paid. We have seen an approval of $21 million. 32 million cedis. We have seen an approval of $21 million. You ask yourself that simple question. Look, in today's world, are we saying that countries that are not spiritual are underdeveloped? That we say as part of our economic transformation, we should not forget our spirituality and spiritual growth? There's something wrong with us. And I doubt if the black man is capable of managing his own affairs, if this is how we think.
But that question has been, I think it's the biggest lie ever told by Nkrumah.
Look,
Nkrumah is fantastic. That is the only one.
Nkrumah could have managed the affairs. Nkrumah could have managed the affairs.
He's a black man. He's a black man.
Black man, yes. He was looking at himself and talking. He looked at his capabilities and thought all had same. But that's the reason.
He not forgetting that he was an exception, not the rule.
Yes, but I say he looked at himself and thought we're the same.
Yeah.
But look. Where we have reached, it is obvious government has not been truthful.
Oh.
It must be clear. Let's not mince words here. Government has not been truthful.
I'm only...
We don't need, based on the foregoing.
Yeah.
I do not subscribe to the continuation of the cathedral unless the presidency would take away the executive director who is part of the presidential staff paid by the taxpayers' money. Unless the churches themselves would now say we are taking over, and they will provide monthly accounts for us to see how much people contributed. Because all of this is shrouded in secrecy until this moment that we're beginning to find out. I am sorry. Enough. Enough of the lies. We cannot build a house of the Lord based on a foundation of lies. Enough.